McKinsey published the report about the $1 trillion femtech women's health opportunity. This is 51% of the global population with unmet needs. This is a massive market opportunity. 4 years ago when I first started building my pitch deck and speaking to investors, so much education was required. 90% of women experience hormonal symptoms every month. And yet I would be often faced with responses saying, oh, my wife doesn't experience this. I think this is niche.
What platform, what consumer, what are you seeing today in terms of where brands should be reaching consumers?
Without doubt, I would say is the one channel that can drive that spiky outlier growth. That's a superpower as a startup, the ability to reach so many people without putting media budget behind that.
I'm Rupa Popat. I'm the founder and managing partner of Arāya Ventures. We are an early stage venture capital firm investing in technology and consumer startups in health, fintech and future of work. I'm so excited today to have Hannah Samano with us. Hannah is the founder and CEO of Unfabled. Unfabled is the leading women's health platform and brand in the UK and beyond. The business started just short of 4 years ago and is backed by some of the world's leading investors, including Morgan Stanley Ventures, Exceptional Ventures, Alumni Ventures, Atomico Angels and the Sequoia Scout Fund. Really excited to have Hannah here today and welcome.
Thank you, Rupa. I'm so excited to be here for this conversation.
I wanted to just maybe let's share with the audience a little bit about how you got started, about why you began Unfabled and where the journey began for you.
Absolutely. So I had spent my whole career building technology and digital products for consumer brands. So I spent 3 years at Unilever where I would partner with the brands, always from a tech perspective, and think about next generation consumer. Launched one of Unilever's first in-house direct-to-consumer propositions, and then also spent a short bit of time in venture capital at Unilever Ventures. So really understanding how investors and the world is thinking about what's coming next. And it was really clear to me that these themes of community and personalization were going to be integral to every corner of the consumer chapter. I jumped ship from the corporate helm and then was privileged to be on the founding team of what has now become the biggest health tech company in Africa. It's called Kasha, and it's a consumer destination for people in emerging markets to discover and purchase health products online, and it's really a pioneering platform. So I was head of product there and really built that. And so I started getting into the world of consumer health and particularly female health at that time, and really got my cogs turning. And I was thinking, gosh, it's actually ballistic to me that the experience around women's health is so isolated and fragmented from the rest of the personal care and wellness industry. And sort of the light bulb moment I talk about was during the pandemic. I was in a Tesco and I wanted to buy tampons, a very essential everyday health product for women. And in the supermarket aisle, they were next to pet food. And I just suddenly thought, this doesn't make sense. This framing of this essential health product needs to be somewhere else. I want a better experience. I want to be able to discover better quality products and to be able to understand how my health is connected into my wellness and my personal care. And so I really decided then that I wanted to build a next generation consumer destination for all things women's health and wellness, and to make it so easy for consumers to find products that are vetted, good for us, but also that are personalized to our needs. So I've been on a mission to build a consumer brand and platform and a really rich data set that helps do that matching and cut the guesswork out for consumers ever since. So it's been 4 years since I quit the day job and started building Unfabled.
That's amazing. And I've been obviously close to the journey for a while and absolutely love everything that you're doing. I guess one of the things that I just love to touch on is this building in women's health. And, the more we see the stats, women's health is super underserved in every area that you look at. So maybe just share a little bit about what you're seeing in women's health, where it was when you started and what you're seeing kind of maybe evolving as these years are going by, because there's definitely way more attention, way more necessary attention, but there's also a lot more people working to make women's health where it should be as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think one thing that grounds a lot of the challenges and opportunities we see today in women's health is that until 1993, it wasn't legally required that women would be included in clinical trials. And so it means today we're still dealing with this hangover of good insights, good data, but actually most importantly, good understanding of female bodies and what we need. And so since I've been building Unfabled in 2021, the good news is I've definitely felt a gear shift in how we're talking about female health and the understanding in the market. So 4 years ago, when I first started building my pitch deck and speaking to investors, so much education was required. And we know the stats. I think fewer than 10% of investment decision makers are women. And so again, really thinking about the kind of people I was pitching to back then. Yeah, so much education, lack of understanding about the opportunity. I would often speak about hormonal symptoms, things like bloating, cramps. 90% of women experience hormonal symptoms every month. And yet I would be often faced with responses saying, oh, my wife doesn't experience this. I think this is niche. And so we've been on a journey. And one thing that's, I think, massively helped is at the start of last year in 2024, McKinsey published the report about the $1 trillion femtech women's health opportunity. And so the research is starting to catch up. The market reports are now coming out to show investors in the world that this is not a niche opportunity. This is 51% of the global population with unmet needs. Women control 80% of consumer health spend. This is a massive market opportunity. So I think what's helped me and what helps the industry at large is always grounding the opportunity in the commercials. That is what gets investors out of bed. And I think we're really proving the demand and increased demand in the market. But we do still struggle with basic challenges, I think, around resonance of the mission. I think excitement about the mission and what we're doing. Again, when we think about female health and the kind of people who get it and want to invest in it, often there's a correlation then kind of with more female investors. So yeah, I'm excited to see continued investment into the space. There's good news. There's this new £250 million fund that's being created, the Invest in Women Task Force here in the UK. And so I'm excited that with that will come more funding into the space at large. But what is helping is in pop culture and through platforms like TikTok as well, we're just seeing more conversation around aspects of the female existence that have previously been somewhat kept in the shadows. And people are talking now about what it's like to have endometriosis or to go through perimenopause or to try to conceive and how challenging that can be and to be a new mum. So yeah, I'm really excited to see the conversation continue and the destigmatization continue, because that is what engenders awareness and ultimately investment.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think we need to create this awareness. We need to have these conversations, and we need to be making sure that these topics are at the top of agenda. And I definitely have seen like a shift in conversation amongst everyone about women's health. And just, I think women themselves are becoming more open to talking about it in professional formats as well. And so rather than it being this hidden thing that you do or you go through privately, it's just becoming more open. And so I think all of these things move us in the right direction for addressing women's health. Cool. Well, I'd love to touch a little bit on Unfabled now. What I've always loved about Unfabled is this creation of community and this feeling of co-creation and all of the things that I would say a next generation consumer brand would be the perfect ingredients. So I'd love to hear a bit more about how you think about community, how important and vital it is to Unfabled to you, and how that actually informs decisions that you make in the business as well.
Community has truly been at the core of how Unfabled began and how we've grown. So I started the company as an Instagram page where I would ask women, hey, what are some of the pain points you have with your health? And women started coming to me and Unfabled and saying, oh, I'm looking for support with cramps or with bloating. And do you have any recommendations for postpartum bleeding? These things they necessarily hadn't had a safe space to talk about or make requests for before, and didn't know where they could go to find good solutions.
Yeah.
And so that page started to grow, that community started to grow, and that really guided how I built the product. So I, during one of the lockdowns, built V1 of Unfabled in 2 weeks. My background was in building direct-to-consumer technology, so very quick Shopify build, and started reaching out to brands that had really wonderful products catering to these pain points, whether that was menstrual health or hormonal symptoms. And so started to curate and then provide this curated marketplace of products and solutions that were addressing these taboo needs of women. So the flow was that the community was telling me what they needed, and then I went and built it. And so fast forward 4 years to today, that is really how we've built the baseline of the product and the platform. Unfabled began life as this curated marketplace. Today we have over 750 vetted products catering to really every chapter of the life cycle, from puberty all the way through to post-menopause. And that expansion has been, again, community driven, where we started focusing on a millennial consumer, thinking that we were going to be dealing with menstrual well-being and hormonal symptoms. But it became apparent that women wanted more. They wanted one trusted platform that could journey with them as their bodies and needs continue to evolve. As we know, as women, our needs can change very quickly with lifestyle changes as well. But what's been really exciting in this last chapter of our growth, we've always been so bullish about the data and insights that we're capturing through our community, through that trust that we have with the community. And so it's because of that trust, women feel comfortable sharing with us things that are really sometimes heavy and hard. And then we get to work on fixing those for them. And at the start of 2024, we saw that there was a challenge, particularly around the supplement space. And again, we had about a dozen supplement brands on the marketplace, great brands. And yet our female audience was coming to us and saying, yeah, I'm still confused actually about which supplements are right for me. They're not super accessible, and I'm unclear around the efficacy of different ingredients. And so we got to work and had a hypothesis. And I know we were working together a lot at that time, and you always had a lot of conviction about this path for Unfabled. So I'm so grateful for your influence on that. Really believing that Unfabled, hey, if we co-create products with our community, looking at the unmet needs that we're still seeing through the marketplace, we believe we can crack a winning formula and launch products that outperform the market. And so we were thrilled last year to prove that out. We launched our first line of products, which is an evidence-backed supplement line to address very common and yet still really unmet needs for women, things like bloating, gut health, sleep, digestion, energy, anxiety, etc. And we launched these supplements into our highly engaged community and had unbelievable results. Really within 1 month, these products were doing 20% of volume on our marketplace. We've more than doubled that now. And then they also got picked up by Boots 1 month later. And they said, we've identified Unfabled as a viral brand, because really that's been how we've grown. We use content, we connect with women, we use TikTok, Instagram to talk about our brand and have conversation with women. And then we launched in Boots nationwide in December as part of this omni-channel rollout, an exciting new chapter for us as a brand. And so, yeah, we're really proud and privileged to work with our community and to prove that when we listen to women and actually incorporate women into the innovation process, we can launch products that absolutely win.
Yeah, and that's absolutely excellent. It was amazing to see you thinking about it all the way to it coming to market so quickly. Just for anyone out there who, especially founders who are thinking about going into brand, it was amazing to see the journey from from the beginning to the point where products were out there. Could you talk just a little bit about what that journey entails and how you managed to move so quickly? Because sometimes you can see people also in years and years of R&D or thinking and the way that the pace of change we have in the market at the moment, we really do need to move quickly, because actually you probably wanted to get product out, test with a customer, and then wait for feedback and iterate and things like that. So how did you go from concept all the way through to getting your products out to market so quickly?
Absolutely. I mean, I think what helps, and any brand that has this, when you have that community and that engaged audience, that is the first step, and that is really going to be the breeding ground for everything that comes next. And we've actually, I'll talk you through the step-by-step process, which we've called the Unfabled Labs process now, which we are really excited about as a recipe to rinse and repeat. But we first had the insight, and actually it came to us organically, where our customers and community members had been coming inbound with these questions about supplements and telling us their pain points. And we also can look at all of our review data on the marketplace, but also more broadly, you can scrape any platform. You can see what a consumer's saying about any kind of category. And then we took that early hypothesis about supplements being overwhelming, confusing, and actually inaccessible from a price point perspective for women. And we started to survey our community. So we sent a survey out to our CRM, to our email subscribers. Again, they're there, they love sharing their opinion with us. And so very quickly we were able to consolidate the opinions of hundreds, actually thousands of women overnight, and prove or disprove some of the early signals we'd seen around the market. And then from there, we did research ourselves. We saw, we know what women are, what their problems are, and we believe we can solve them. We worked with our clinical leads to find evidence-backed solutions and ingredients that could address the pain points women were telling us they had. And then we worked to find a pioneering manufacturing partner who could bring our ideas and evidence-backed solutions to life. We then took that partner and we very quickly got first early prototypes working with them, which we tested with the community, got feedback, and then incorporated the feedback, continued to iterate. We are also, one of the things that we were doing was launching social content as experiments to really figure out what kind of positioning and language was going to resonate most with women, with the community when we were talking about magnesium, for example, or sleep. And so we were able to very rapidly test and learn, even in 24-hour cycles, around positioning, messaging, content, and so on. And then, we did, all of the branding in-house. We believe that we are the brand experts. We know our community and brand better than any agency ever could. And I think that's helped us a lot. And so then when we launched these products as an MVP, as V1, we had already de-risked the process. It had taken us less than 3 months from start to finish. Women were really invested in the journey because they'd been brought in and asked their opinion. And, candidly, we also had a lot of evidence that these products would work because we've been running sort of informal efficacy studies through that 3-month process to test the products with women who suffered from those pain points. So then, we launched those products and they've been a hit. And I think this process of being in conversation with women using qualitative and quantitative research to inform NPD and product development has been a winning formula. So Unfabled Labs, there's a lot more to come from that going forwards.
It sounds absolutely amazing. And even the packaging is just it just stands out. I ordered some and was also gifting it out to people I know who have issues with sleep and things like that. And everybody's reaction to even just how you thought about the shape of the packaging, the whole thing from start to finish was it's just so well thought through. So now it's good to understand some of the kind of thinking that went behind it as well.
Thank you.
That's great. I just want to touch a bit more on this process because it's actually amazing how important it is today for consumers to feel part of the creation process and that co-creation. So just if you had to give a few thoughts on maybe 2-3 things on what are the most important ingredients you think today when you, as a consumer brand, that you need to be thinking about when it comes to your consumer, if you could just share some thoughts.
I think what has helped us is realizing that there's no one size fits all. And I think people building in brands, largely know this, but I think really having very differentiated styles and channels and knowing how to show up and depending on who you're speaking to, one of the blessings and challenges around us as a brand and business is that we have such a broad range of customers and consumers in our mix, from 18 through to 80, and actually some mums shopping for their teenage daughters. And the core for us still is sort of 18 to 45, but that's a really broad mix. So I think what has helped us is having a very diverse content strategy and comms and brand strategy while still being very consistent, but then being able to resonate with and connect with a really large range of individuals. And so I think that level of personalization has been key. And it's not just in terms of how we've shown up as a brand and speak to people. It's been in our product since day one. On our platform, you can come and you can browse based on your symptoms, based on your life stage. We have a quiz as well where users share information about their pain points and preferences, and then we match them with solutions. So I think it's at every step thinking about how are you making things easy for your consumer and for the person in your community to find that pathway that really works for them, and that doesn't feel really off the shelf. So that level of personalization and care has been integral to how we've built. And then I think authenticity and relatability have also really helped us grow. You know, we are a 7-women team, and we share a lot of behind the scenes content. Actually, even as we were developing Unfabled Essentials, our supplement line, we were sharing insights with the community. And then afterwards, we shared a lot of, you know, how the process worked. And people are fascinated. They want to know that. That kind of content works super well on TikTok as well. Yeah. Small business content generally, and we want to do a lot more of that too. So I think the days of being this shiny big brand are gone. And when I see what actually I think a lot of the big brands envy from startups, it is that rich authenticity, who's driving the brand, and helping the community and consumer feel like they're connecting to a wider purpose and mission as well. And so, yeah, the authenticity, the mission-driven aspect of what we're doing, working to empower women, close the gender health gap, is distilled in everything we do. And so I think it means that then people are really loyal and they back us, and not just because they come to buy products, because they want to create a better future for women and to make it easier for us to be healthy and happy throughout our lives.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it makes so much sense. And it's interesting you touched on TikTok, actually, because obviously you've got such a diverse group of consumers, from 18 to 80, as you said, and they all operate on different platforms. And I remember when I first came across the brand, it was actually via TikTok, and you'd had like millions of interactions and views around your content. So like what platform, what consumer, like what are you seeing today in terms of like where brands should be reaching consumer as well?
I think for us, what is working is an omni-channel approach where they all feed into each other. But without doubt, I would say TikTok is the one channel that can drive that spiky outlier growth. And I think that that's much harder for up and coming disruptor brands to do on Instagram these days. So for us, TikTok, as you said, has been a huge part of how we got those early growth signals and traction from the market while we were just starting out, and we started having content that would reach millions of people. Today, we've reached over 70 million people through our organic content. And, you know, that's a superpower as a startup, the ability to reach so many people without putting media budget behind that. And what we've often found to be really interesting is that concepts and content that can work on TikTok can be translated to Instagram. So you can sort of test and learn and then borrow concepts from yourself to repurpose in another channel, but it doesn't usually work the other way. So I think, you know, what works on Instagram won't work on TikTok, but it's been such a hack for us in building community, building massive brand awareness. We have really exceptional customer acquisition costs as a brand, and I am very confident that that is to do with this huge top of the funnel we're able to build through the organic reach of TikTok. So yeah, I mean, I've been so lucky to have brilliant people in my team really own the channel, and my approach has just always been let the Gen Zs run with TikTok, because I think being really creative and not having a formula is often what has worked. So Lindsay, who I hired as my first hire as an intern, and she now is our senior brand manager, looks after all organic and brand, and is just such a talent. You know, she really was responsible for cracking that TikTok code at the start. And if I had come in with my experience and mandated what I think would have worked, we wouldn't be where we are now. So yeah, we have big plans for how we're going to continue using TikTok to drive conversions.
Yeah, and that's a great actually segue into you as a founder, because you talk about when to step back and let someone else get on with it. So I'd just love to hear your thoughts on the founder journey, any kind of advice you have for founders starting out, things that you may have learned over this journey that you wanted to share with us.
Well, where to begin? Well, I'm a sole founder, and I simply wouldn't be where I am. Unfabled wouldn't be where it is without the unbelievable team that I've been very fortunate to build. And I've, you know, got a couple of people, Lindsay, who I mentioned, and who joined as an intern, is now looks after our organic brand, and Jasmine, who came and joined the team 3 years ago and now leads all of our day-to-day operations. these people have been with me for between 3 to 4 years, really the entire journey. And so I feel my one piece of advice, and what I've been very fortunate to have, is just ride or dies since the very beginning, in absence probably of having a formal co-founder, but people I can really depend on. And I think at the start, like anyone founding a business, it's truly your baby and you're so in the detail, and I'm a real perfectionist, and it can be a blessing and it can be a curse, especially once you start to scale and you need to ramp up and you need to scale yourself. So I've sort of employed quite radical ownership. I truly let everyone in my team get on with things. I try not to intervene. I'm there for reviews and for approvals. But I think that that's actually a really important part of our culture, that radical ownership. And that's how we've managed to get so much done as such a tiny team. For the first 3 years, we were pretty much 3 people. So that's been a really important part of how I lead my team, is allowing everyone true ownership, regardless of their level. Even if they come in this is their first full-time role, the people who thrive at Unfabled are people who are able to take initiative, take ownership, and really run with things and enjoy that freedom as well. So that's been huge. And then I think the culture, and we're really, again, privileged to have a team of super bright, hardworking people who are all very creative and passionate about what we're doing. So again, it makes what we're doing fun. We joke a lot. We have a fun time. Obviously, we crunch hard and we work hard, and sometimes things are a bit more spicy. But yeah, I think that culture of creativity and hard work has really allowed us as well to punch above our weight in terms of the team size and funding as well.
Brilliant. I'm so excited to be part of this journey, and so excited for Arāya and all of us to be on this journey with you. And I can't wait to see what comes next in the space. One just final question was just, if you were to say that, like, where you'd like to see women's health kind of evolve over the next 3 to 5 years, or even beyond, what is it that you would like to see?
I'm really excited to see women's health really become very mainstream and treated as health.
As I said that, I thought it should just be called health. Yeah, because we are 50% of the population. So.
Exactly. I think it's important for now that we have this framing, because it is so underserved still.
Yeah.
And until we have more parity and better solutions and services, I do think, it's important for us to be treating women's health as an independent space that merits attention and kind of unique investment. But I'm excited for it to get to a point where it can just be part of health. I'm excited to see some really great exits, IPOs, really shiny, juicy acquisitions. I think when that begins and we see a couple of those come through, I'm confident it will give investors more conviction in the space, because largely still women's health is a very nascent industry. And, I believe the VC mindset is really around, kind of pattern matching, being able to project things out, who's going to buy these companies, how much they're going to IPO for. And we don't have that data really yet. And so I think it creates a bit of nervousness around the space for investors. So over the next 3 to 5 years, I'm really excited to see some major players become mainstream, get rolled up into, multinational CPGs, big pharma companies, see some, great IPOs, and see investors make great returns, because then I think it will really fuel a lot more early stage investment as well. So excited for women's health to become health, excited for us to continue breaking down stigmas, really excited to see how AI is going to accelerate the interpretation of data and the prediction of what women need. And I think that there's going to be some really great breakthroughs helping us understand our hormones 24/7. And I can see that being a complete game changer. We've got glucose monitors, and that's great. But so far, when it comes to female hormones, it's this black box we don't really understand. And so, I'm really looking forward to more technology and innovation that helps us understand female hormones on a 24-hour cycle, because I think that will unlock so much more understanding for us individually, but also for medicine and for health as a whole. So yeah, lots of great things to come.
Just wanted to ask you, like, for people that have been inspired by hearing about Unfabled that maybe didn't know about it before, what's the best way to engage with the brand or to follow your journey?
They can follow us at unfabled.co on both Instagram and TikTok. That's where we share our content. And then on LinkedIn, you can find me, Hannah Samano, follow me, what I'm talking about as a founder, and follow our business page there as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining Hannah and I today. Really great to have you with us. And please do follow us. And we look forward to sharing content weekly with you. If you like what you saw today, please do subscribe now. We would love to have your support and we'd love to keep dropping great insights for founders and investors to you on a weekly basis. Thank you.